Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today we are back with another extremely interesting alliance war, and it is against Apoco. Now Apoco is a very solid Masters Alliance, top end Masters Alliance, and truth be told, we started this war poorly, and we had a very stressful war up until the very end. We were down like 3 deaths basically. At some point we had died 3 times and Apoco was yet to die. So that was definitely quite stressful. Luckily, at the moment, it does seem under control. At the point of recording this video, it's still not quite finished, but things do seem under control, and we are likely going to take the W at home. And I will be doing path 1 and this time 3. Path number 3 in section 2 is kind of like baby path. I'm a bit annoyed that I somehow ended up being relegated to useless path, but hey, you know, it is what it is. And yeah, so first fight here is Quake against Human Torch, and this was the Arc Overlord Vigorous Assault. Obviously with Quake you can switch off the Arc Overlord, and then basically it's just an arena fight. And Human Torch is not a stubborn defender, so I am perfectly free to fully evade all of the attacks. I don't need to worry about him going indestructible. And he's going down nice and steady, absolutely no stress, and nothing is going to ruin this fight at this point anymore. He's at 16%, and he wouldn't get me down with a combo even if he tried, especially because I do have some medium boosts on. And yeah, we actually end up finishing with like a full yellow bar, which is always beautiful and satisfying to see. Now the next fight is going to be Hyperion, and I have Dr. Doom for that. And obviously Dr. Doom against Hyperion is pretty much the ideal fight. Now there is a very potent masochism involved. That means that I will have to be careful when he shrugs off my parry stance, or when sometimes he's going to purify the shock, so I will not be able to chain into heavy attack, which is kind of like a common default thing to do with Dr. Doom, that it's important to remember that you do need to check for that shock debuff to be there. Like right here we can see that he purified the shock and I was not able to place that stagger before I dropped my level 3. But still, we're doing just fine. Obviously, it's Dr. Doom. It's a rank 3 Dr. Doom against a 5-star Hyperion, so pretty much everything is stacked in our favor in this fight. Class advantage, higher rank, boosts, perfect matchup. Everything is working out wonderful. And level 2 finishes the job. Very simple, no stress, no issues at all. Next up, I'm just going to go ahead and take this Corvus. The linked node coming in there is the Power Focus 1, which I'm really not too bothered about. If anything, it's probably even easier to deal with opponents who have Power Focus 1 quite often, because you don't need to worry about betting on their special attacks too much when they are past the bar of power. I do not want him to get a lot of Furies though, so I do want to keep an eye on the timers and basically kind of spam special attacks. At some point in this fight, something odd will happen, and I'm not gonna say it was dropped input, it might be just my brain lagging, but I do remember getting clapped in this fight and being confused for a moment as to why I got clapped. So anyways, he has 4 Furies active here, so I do need to be quite careful, especially as I said before, he is going to end up clapping me in a bit. But I'm just kind of focusing on not letting him get more Furies. Yeah, that was right there. I thought I dropped my level 2, but I just stood there and ate a hit in my face. I was tapping on that special button, but nothing was happening. Luckily, he didn't really do too much damage to me. But that was quite odd moment. Now I asked my alliance, should I just Quake down this man thing? And I was told to stay put, because we had like a rank 3 She-Hulk, I think, for it, or She-Hulk with Mr. Fantastic synergy, so we ended up using She-Hulk for it, which is fair enough. Now the next fights are already in day 2, and when I woke up in day 2, we were in significantly much better position that at the start of the war we already had tied them at death, or were leading by 1, and that obviously immediately kind of reduced the stress a bit, but at the same time you definitely don't want to die in a war like this. And here against Silver Surfer, I'm using Dr. Doom, but this isn't as straightforward of a fight as it might initially appear, even though it is quite perfect matchup. I still need to be very careful that Silver Surfer never gets an armor up buff, and if he does get an armor up buff, I would either have to wait it out or somehow immediately nullify it because of those Chitonius thorns. I would be taking like some huge bleeds. And that is kind of like a great place for staggers to put in work, because if he never activates his power cosmic and never gets to capitalize on that and gain an armor up, then obviously Dr. Doom doesn't have to worry about the bleed effects that might fall upon him. So it's still perfectly safe. It's just something that you do need to keep in mind and do need to check whether Silver Surfer does get to an armor buff. But if you get rid of his power cosmics, then it's very unlikely, well, it's pretty much impossible for him to do so. Like here at this point I drop another level 1, and I'll just go for another level 1, and that finishes off the fight. So very simple, but you just need to be wary. Now the next fight is going to be against this Red Guardian. Quite truthfully, I could have brought in pretty much any defender. There is a reason why path 3 is typically considered to be baby path, baby wheels path, kind of like, yeah. It's quite hard to die in path 3, is all I'm going to say. And that path 3 is where people normally end up when, you know. Anyways, so you could literally use anyone for this second fight, because the requirement for the first fight typically is use a bleed immune champion. Requirement for second fight is none. Use anything that you want. And just to be safe, because obviously I do feel extremely comfortable using Quake. I know it does take some time and this guy is quite jacked and stacked, but I'll just bring in Quake and I'll be done with it. Kind of because why not, right? It's Quake. Safe. It's going to take a bit, but this is very close war still at this point. There's like 1 death difference, and it's very imperative that I do not let my team down. And despite being on path 3, still need to put in my part of the work for this war. It's actually kind of interesting at the moment. Currently, I think I'm the only one in my battle group who hasn't died yet. And I have taken the most amount of fights as well at the moment. So yeah, and the fight is pretty much over here. And we're going to move on to the next one. The next one is also going to be quite straightforward. There's nothing too much stress about, but we will have some mini-boss auction, which I wasn't originally booked in for. That's kind of funny as well, because I'm going to end up taking the small man, and that is the reason why Archangel's here. Because obviously Mole Man can shrug off debuffs, but he has significantly higher chance to fail doing that against mutants. And obviously Archangel just destroys buffet node as such, and yeah, we should be good. Now you do need to be careful from limber, and you do need to throw your heavy attacks and time and all that other stuff. You can see that I throw my heavy attack too late in one of those instances, but at the moment everything's going quite well enough. We have 2 neurotoxins, 4 bleeds, and that Mole Man's melting away. I do have moderately big boosts active. I think 30% champion boost and 15% attack boost and some health boost. So I'm decently boosted, not to the max, but good enough for the job, I suppose. So there I chain in my heavy attack into special attack. Here I'm just going to drop another heavy to apply some more debuffs, but you can see that the fight is pretty much over. Archangel just absolutely destroyed that Mole Man. And Mole Man is a champion that I'm keeping an eye on very closely myself, because I might end up taking him to rank 3 if his buff is good, because we do need one for defense as well, and I do have Mole Man unduped, but we'll see. And now, this should have been it for me, this war. But I very politely asked my battle group leader if by any chance he wants me to take any mini-bosses. And he said, yeah, sure, take down Hulkbuster. And I was like, cool. And obviously I'm going to go to the Hulkbuster. And this is a Rage mini-boss. This isn't the first time I have taken him with Quake. It's actually going to be a quite funny mistake. At the very start here, I'm going to kind of forget about Stubborn, and I'm going to end up kind of like missing out on a cycle. We can see that he's indestructible here. Well, he should be taking significant amount of Aftershock. But I'm going to apply that block in a second as soon as he hits in my parry, and that's just in time for me to get rid of that indestructible, and the rest of the fight I'll just spend with the heavy and parry method due to Stubborn, obviously. And there is a damage cap limit here, unfortunately due to Rage, but I don't trigger those Furies. And only thing is that this fight is gonna last a while, but it's really safe, really simple, really straightforward, not that much to worry about. Definitely not don't have Rage to consider, don't have to worry about getting shock debuffs or whatever else from Hulkbuster. And this guy is not even duped. Even if he was duped, Quake would bypass that regeneration and whatever else. So the fact that he's unduped kind of doesn't matter in this situation, because yeah, Quake shuts down that awakened ability anyways. And yeah, the only kind of like downside to this fight is obviously it takes significant amount of time compared to most other fights, because of Rage, because of how tanky he is, and Quake is a 5-star and this guy is a 6-star, and yeah. But at the same time, I'd much rather use Quake because I feel very safe and confident using Quake pretty much in any scenario. And just like that, he's down to 26% here. Nothing to worry about at all so far here. Very solid. Obviously, I have taken about 16% block damage, but as I said before, it's really just about all right. Like, it's to be expected when you parry as much. Unfortunately, I do miss some parries, so then the block damage does add up quite significantly more. But the fight is nearly over, and at this point, obviously, because this fight was already kind of like a bonus fight, but I figured I have an energy, I still have some boost active, and long shot is a perfect break for Quake. I also have a couple of these level 4 lines of war health potions now in overflow, which I tried in gifting, so I kind of need to use them. So this was a cheeky steal. It's quite regrettable, to be honest, because in the course of last 20 or so Alliance Wars in seasons, my only war death was when I stole a fight that I shouldn't have taken. But I seemingly will never learn. I always struggle with myself on the inside. Should I or should I not? And my dear viewers, I lost the fight today. I could not put myself in check, and I ended up stealing somebody else's mini-boss. And I'm not proud of that at all, but it is a legitimate struggle. I try my best every war not to take anyone else's fights, and for most part, 9 wars out of 10, I succeed. Today, I did not. And still, it's Quake against Longshot. We can see that the fight is well under control. Minute in, he's down to 30-something% health. I will actually make a slip up and he will land a combo on me. And I will lose a significant amount of health because he will end up critting. But that's kind of just the thing in all of these normal fights. If you mess up just once, it's never enough to kill you. Especially if you're properly boosted. Unless you're up against somebody who has like guaranteed crits and stuff. So he landed a combo on me. I'm at 47%, but that's towards the very, very end. Right, what happens next, though, is even worse. Because I have a partner in my insubordination. When I asked him in an alliance chat, does anybody have an energy? I'm trying to steal a mini-boss despite the wishes of my battle group leader. I had a co-conspirator named Shadex. He's a very, very good player. And a very good friend, alliance mate of mine. And he was very keen to lend me his energy just so I can piss off my battle group leader. Because as I was going in that fight, he was explicitly telling me not to do it. But I have one proper, not excuse, but on the upside, at least I knew the risks of what I was doing. So you can see that I had activated the Indestructible 3 boost. Obviously, I didn't really plan for that Indestructible 3 boost to be used eating level 2 to the face. But still, obviously, Archangel does Archangel things, and we just melted that Symbiote Supreme. And yeah, so this was a naughty war, but luckily it all worked out. Didn't die. Looks like we are on a sure course to win this war and go to 5-0 in the season. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about